Hi, I'm William Malik with your bit of security for January 28th, 2025. Today we're going to be talking about testing for quality. And in order to do that, I want to take you through software testing. Um, some time ago, I wrote a technical report at IBM called Methodology for Testing Large Systems. It described how we in the Poughkeepsie Programming Center verified that the product that we were shipping met the requirements that and specifications that were originally created for it. Um, I'm going to start by pointing out an area that can be somewhat confusing. There are different forms of use for the word test. When you test software, what you're doing is verifying that it does what it's supposed to do, nothing more and nothing less, which means that if the specification is inadequate, your test is very simple. You don't have to do much. You can't test quality into a product. All testing can do is tell you what the quality of the product is. That's different from, say, a medical test where you were confronted with an individual who has certain symptoms and you want to diagnose those symptoms. So rather than quality assurance, which is software testing, you're now going through a diagnostic regimen. You know, does he have a vitamin deficiency? Is there a sign of infection? Are there any chemicals that could be causing the problem? Could this be related to some other symptom or syndrome or some such? Um, Notice also that when you're doing scientific research, you establish a hypothesis and then you perform tests to either verify or refute that hypothesis. So a good scientific hypothesis has to tell you uh, definitively whether or not the thing is true or false. So different kinds of testing. Software testing is not an exploration. We know the result. So there's no hypothesis. There's a spec, and we want to see if it measures up. Um, when you're testing a large software product, the specification has to be comprehensive enough. Using Philip Crosby's phrase, we test to ensure that it conforms to requirements. And so please understand that waterfall was never a linear process. It wasn't design, development, test, ship. It was very much a V-shaped process. As much as the folks arguing for agile and such like to put it out, waterfall properly implemented never was unidirectional without feedback. The V was you'd have the specifications here, and then you'd go to high-level design, low design, code, and then code is reflected in test. And you go up the other side of the V and saying, well, low-level design is going to be verified in function component test, high-level design and system test, and then your specification would be verified for whole product test. Can I install it? Can I distribute it? Can I service it? So product launch should tell you everything you need to know to get the product going. It should tell you what it does. So your announce materials should simply convert the specification from the third person passive voice into an active second person voice. You will be able to better, faster, cheaper, as opposed to specification says this product will be better, faster, cheaper because we are taking the following steps and so on. So where does security testing occur? Where do you document the privacy and trustworthiness and safety of the product that you're testing? Well, at each phase in the test, there are specific items in the requirements that will tell you, if properly performed, that this code is safe, that it is not leaking data, that we are not overflowing a buffer, that we are not reading past the end of the file, that we are not running past the end of an array and putting code into areas that we should not have the rights to touch. Now, remember that security problems have two possible causes. There either are code defects which allow an unauthorized service or user to observe data or alter the flow of control, and there are errors which could guide a trusted user into making an unsafe or unwise decision. So you want to test that the codes meets specified requirements, and those should include things like making sure you only touch the areas you're supposed to touch, making sure you only read from areas you're supposed to read, making sure you only issue messages to areas you're supposed to issue them to, and then User interface testing, making sure that the user is able to understand and comply with the instructions and recommendations and various feedback that he or she gets without being led into making an unsafe choice. Notice that while user interface testing occurs fairly late in the cycle, you have to have the whole product pretty much together to be able to demo it for a user. Code bugs are very easy to spot early in the process. Checking that field is properly verified before being used, for instance, takes place almost at a unit test. So, if you want a secure product, specify the security considerations and then verify, assure the quality, which means that you met those specifications in what you're shipping. And that's our bit of security for January 28th. I'm William Malik. Be safe.